just arrived here in Russia for the 10th round of the FIM Motocross World Championship. Last year, this beautiful place right next to the Black Sea hosted the FIM Junior World Championship. But for the big boys, this weekend it will be a brand new track. In MX2, Jonas arrives here as the red plate holder with a 42-point lead on Siwa. But in previous rounds, we've seen him start to lose that advantage as his rivals are slowly closing in on that gap. In MXGP, the situation is different. Tony Cairoli has extended that lead, taking full advantage of Tim Geisser's bad luck. The Slovenian won't be racing it again this weekend, which means many riders could knock on the door of that top 5, Jeffrey Hurlings being one of them after a difficult start to the season. Welcome to Olyanok for the MXGP of Russia.
It's 90 metres up to turn 1, it's uphill as well and very wide on the approach. Then it tightens up course and then we swing downhill through turn 2 over the Monster Energy finish line. And then we head uphill for the first of many times here around this Olyanok circuit, down past pit lane. Look how hard and slick the circuit is over this little single, over the little hip jump. Some riders jumping long off there and then scrubbing through here on the left-hand side, dropping downhill onto the Ippon crest. We run that plateau, drop back down again into the valley over another little hip jump, and then we head back up onto this plateau. You can get all the way over, but look, it's a short landing, it's off-cambered through the left and then dropping immediately through the right, over a single, and then another one, upsetting the balance of the bike just when you don't want it. Through the bank right-hander at the bottom of the hill. This is the longest hill on the circuit, possibly. Onto this plateau, and then onto another rise, dropping down through this right-hander. Then the first of 3 tabletops. The first one is 18 metres, the second one 12 metres. So you have to correct your speed. Then the Monster Energy, it's a double step down, but it's 25 metres point to point if you go all the way over the top. You land hard on the brakes into this 180 right, that's turn 9, up onto this plateau, turn left, dropping down again. It's very hard and slick through here. When you crest here, a slight right into a series of waves. There are 8 in total. If you go inside, you can just double into there and then keep it nice and low from the left-hand side. Then we arrive at this tight right-hander through the next left. Probably one of the most spectacular jumps on the circuit. The Monster Energy step down here through the turn, plunging down through the valley, G'ing out at the bottom over the Tag Heuer tabletop. 27 metres long, that one, and then stepping up onto this plateau. We're almost home and dry. through the 180 right, dropping down in through a series of waves. You can double through there and then just hop over the final rise. There's the first corner to your left, dropping down into the final corner. There is the Monster Energy finish line jump. And then when they ride, they head on back uphill to start another lap.
Put your best shoes on to see what it's all about. But you're never gonna lose on. Yeah, you make me wanna shout out.
It's very important for the future of Suzuki to work with young riders. So I'm looking to work with young talents and then really try and build them up and have them also like an ambassador for the Suzuki brand. Like Jeremy, for example, he's been there with the brand for many, many years, and I think it's very important. Jeremy, I mean, he's second in the World Championship for the moment. He won 2 GPs, several podiums, so I think it's still possible to compete for the world title. This is our main ambition this year, to win the title with him.
Yeah, it is, of course. That was my goal also, and now we are quite some GPs in the season already and still many races to come. That this is just about halfway. So we are not giving up. We try our best weekend to weekend, GP to GP, and I mean, we will see.
Hunter, yeah, he's the new kid on the block, especially in the MX2 World Championship. It's his first season.
Rookie in MX2, but it's cool, you know, I'm loving it so far, and yeah, sure, so much stuff to learn, like experience-wise and just everything, you know, the level's obviously higher, it's world level, it's a World Championship for a reason, you know, so keep working, and no, I'm happy with how everything is at the moment.
He's a kid that picks up, he's riding really easy. When you see when he races the GPs, he can easily take the speed and follow and you know, make the progression during the race, and it's very interesting to see. And yeah, for me, he's a very talented kid.
The past few GPs have been really good. Like, I'm really happy with it. I think for me, I didn't change anything, but something changed for me. And yeah, I think it's just something that, like, some things you can try so hard and nothing changes, and then all of a sudden it clicks like this, you know. So, like everything, everything comes with good time and experience, you know. So it can be like this.
Yeah, my season's been quite up and down, and then I broke my collarbone, and that was quite down. But the last few races have been going better and better. Yeah, the feeling in the team is quite good. Like, it's really professional, and we have a good bike, and just everything feels good. All the mechanics, we all work together. It feels like a giant team, actually.
This year we have such a nice group. We really hang out a lot. It makes traveling, it makes staying in hotels and everything just so much easier, and it's a lot of fun. We just enjoy ourselves. So it's just a really good mix, in my opinion, and goes along really well.
I think last year the level of the EMX was already really high. Like last year you had 3 or 4 guys that were really good. Right now you have 15 guys that are really good. So I think that's the biggest change.
The plans are made already since last year. I signed the contract with Stefan Evert for 2 more years in the Suzuki team. So I'm going to ride the MXGP class for Suzuki. And I did some training on the 450, what I've never done before, which worked out really well. I like the handling of a 450, and somehow it fits my riding style. So I'm looking forward to it, but not having it in my mind too much yet, to be honest.
Jeremy, I would say Swiss chocolate, you know, he's coming from the Swiss mountains. Jeremy is a smooth, well-rounded rider. One big word. Hunter, funny, talented boy. Bas, very hard-working boy.
After the dry qualifying conditions on Saturday, the heavens opened up for MX2 Race 1. 1 or 2 riders spinning up over the gate as they crossed the steels, but it was Jorge Prado who crossed the foxhole shot line for the 7th time in 2017, closely followed by Thomas Kjær-Olsen, Brian Bogus, Paul Jonas, and the Suzukis of Hunter Lawrence and Bas Vassen. Despite the rain, those kind of wet conditions helped the track in some ways, offered up a lot more traction and wasn't as heavy or as sticky. But it was still a test of attrition all the same. Thomas Kjær-Olsen made an early move to find his way past Prado, and he led on lap 2 on his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Wasn't long before Paul Jonas followed him through, and then Bas Vassen, who'd made a great start on the Suzuki World MX2 machine, also barged his way down the inside of the young Spaniard. He got his elbows out, pushed him wide, and that allowed Hunter Lawrence through as well. Lawrence was now 3rd and going after Jonas. Jeremy Seewer didn't make the best start. He was outside the top 10, but was slowly working his way forward. Pretty soon, he was running in 6th place. Brian Bogus was also having a great ride in 4th. The 189 on the HSF Logistics Motorsport KTM, though, came unstuck. Jonas had been in for a pit stop and fresh goggles and was working his way back inside the top few positions. But Benoit Paturel was a man on a mission. He'd fallen at turn 1 on his Khmer Yamaha and was scything his way through to the front of the pack. Bas Vassen was hanging on as long as he could, but Jonas eventually went through to take over 3rd. Hunter Lawrence was running in 2nd, but a mistake in the latter stages of the race allowed Jonas to go through. Jorge Prado by now was a lap down on the Red Bull KTM in 13th place. Hunter Lawrence fell from 4th whilst closing back in on Benoit Paturel, and he would stay 4th, but it was Thomas Kjær-Olsen on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna who charged to the line to take his 2nd race win of the year. Jonas was 2nd, Paturel, Lawrence and Vassen, your top 5. After the rain of race 1, the sun came out and the track was starting to dry out, which meant there was a definitive race line starting to appear by the end of the race. But once again, it was Jorge Prado on the Red Bull KTM who crossed the foxhole shot line. That's 8 now for the young Spaniard. Hunter Lawrence went down on the exit of turn 1 on the Suzuki, but Thomas Kjær-Olsen, the winner from race 1, crashed his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna and would not rejoin the race. Brian Bogus led briefly, but then it was Prado who took over the lead, and these two on the opening lap just battled bar to bar and side by side. Both wanted the clean track, and it was Brian Bogus on the HSF Logistics Motorsport KTM who came out on top. Paturel came out from nowhere on a Khmer Yamaha to get himself into 2nd, and then he took over the lead, but it didn't last long. He fell down the boggy pit lane straight. He remounted right at the back, and he would suffer again later on. Bogus led. Seewer got himself into 2nd. A bobble there for Jonas. Briefly allowed Hunter Lawrence to go through as Paturel got stuck once more. He dug deep though, quite literally. He got himself back to 12th by the time the checkered flag fell for vital World Championship points. Seewer made his move on Bogus as the Dutchman made a mistake on the treacherous pit straight. And that was lap 8, and Seewer into the lead. Brian Bogus was never too far behind though. Julian Lieber, well, he had an up and down race, and despite 1 or 2 falls, managed to bring his LRT KTM home in 5th. But it was a win for Jeremy Seewer and Suzuki World MX2. Brian Bogus came home 2nd, Jonas was 3rd, Prado 4th, Lieber was 5th, but the overall belonged to Jonas with a 2nd and a 3rd. Seewer was 2nd, Bogus was third. He was on the podium for the first time in 2017 and the first time since Essen 2016 at his home Grand Prix. Paul Jonas, though, on the top step of the podium. For the 5th time this year, he now has a 45-point advantage over Jeremy Seeler heading into Ottobiano.
Halfway through the season, we thought we'd grab a few words with some of the main protagonists in that all-important MXGP title chase.
We're like midpoint season, like you said, so it's very interesting. You know, we had a very tough start of the season, you know, with the first rounds being very difficult for us with a broken hand, but we had some good races the last couple of ones. We've been very consistent, and the last couple of races always been inside the top 5 in most motos, so it's actually we're getting better and better, so I hope to keep improving. I know there's some good tracks coming, like Ottobiano is the next one after this one. It's a bit sandy, Algueda, and I'm sure home GP still coming, Lommel, so very interesting season still to come, and hope to keep the good momentum going. We wanted actually to fight for the World Championships, you know, that goal is kind of over, but I think, you know, going into the top 3, it's still a possibility. You know, we need some good results for that, but, you know, the gap to second place is around 45 points, I think, so it's not that much, and I think it's still possible. We have, I think, 10 races to go, so a lot of things are still open.
I was quite consistent. That was really important, and you know, that's a point that I really take care of it, to be consistent every GP. To win a moto was really nice. You know, a great feeling that give you satisfaction and positive thing to keep working, of course, all the time, and to have more win and more that feeling. You know. We are halfway of the season, so still a lot of GP to go, and it will be the halfway a bit more difficult maybe, because you know, you have to keep going physically until the end. So try to, in the same time, to don't get injured, and you know, have good result and everything. So I'm happy for the moment. I'm still in charge for the championship. That's really great, and I'm positive to look in the front and you know, try to have most win possible GP and moto. That's what I'm working for.
Yeah, I'm really happy at the moment. The track are going are being very nice. I really enjoyed the championship until now, so we are really looking forward for every race, every weekend, to be on track and to fight for the podium. You know, it's still long time to go before the end of the season, so I enjoy every round and trying to stay all the time on the podium at least, and stay you know, safe on the track. And this is what is good for the championship. You know, consistency is the key.
Unlike the MX2 riders, the MXGP guys blasted down the start straight for their first race. It was Tony Cairoli with a foxhole shot as Jeffrey Hurlings threw off his spare pair of goggles right after the first turn. The rain had stopped, but it was still a very treacherous racetrack. A great start for Bobryshev in third for Team HRC, but not for long because Anstey went through on his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Gauthier Paulin, Clément de Saux, Romain Fevre all gave chase as they battled inside the top 8. But then Fevre went missing from 5th. He crashed out on lap 4, fell down to 13th, came in for running repairs, fresh goggles and gloves, threw away that opportunity, but continued to battle on all the same, eventually coming home in 10th. He wasn't the only one to stop as well. Bobryshev in for goggles, Tonus doing the same after a brief fall down to earth. He was in 7th position at that time on the Wilvo Yamaha. He eventually came home in 9th place. Alessandro Lupino was having a great ride for Honda Red Moto. He was 4th for much of the race, eventually came home in 6th. With just a handful of laps to go, Clément de Saux on the Monster Energy Kawasaki carved his way down the inside of the number 99 and Max Anstey. The Rockstar Energy Husqvarna would eventually come home in 4th ahead of his teammate Paulin, who came home in 5th. But Jeffrey Hurlings started to find his rhythm and he got onto the rear wheel of his Red Bull KTM teammate Antonio Cairoli. And as the riders charged down past pit lane on lap 10, Hurlings sensed his opportunity and took it with both hands. He was the new leader of the race. Despite the heavy conditions, Jeffrey Hurlings then started to put lap after lap consistently together. Eventually, he pulled clear of Cairoli. Either way you looked at it, it was a Red Bull KTM 1-2, but it was Jeffrey Hurlings who would take the checkered flag and win Moto number 1. Cairoli would be 2nd, de Saux 3rd, Anstey, Paulin running out your top 5, but a great ride for Alessandro Lupino coming home in 6th. MXGP Race 2, and over on the right-hand side, it was the number 461 Monster Energy Yamaha of Romain Fevre, who cut across everybody to grab his 3rd foxhole shot of the year. Jeffrey Hurlings went down in turn 1, and it was Anstey who came out in 2nd. Clément de Saux just in there as well, but as they charged up the hill for the first time, de Saux had got himself into 2nd and gave chase to the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. Tonus was 4th, Paulin on the 21 was 5th in the opening stages of the race. Jeffrey Hurlings, after picking himself up at turn 1, fell twice more. This one the most serious of the two, but he picked himself up and just kept plugging away in search of those vital championship points. Fevre made mistakes. De Saux on the Kawasaki was able to close in. And all the while, Anstey was watching over both riders as once again Tonus fell, this time from 4th. Anstey rode his luck and the advertising boards, but managed to keep it upright in 3rd for much of the race. Romain Fevre would open a gap on his Monster Energy Yamaha, but then he would get held up. And he was able to keep de Saux at bay. But how much longer could the Frenchman last at the head of the field? Mistakes from both riders allowed them to concertina to and fro. Cairoli, well, he was in 8th place and struggling in the deep, heavy conditions. It was becoming more of an enduro in the closing stages of the race. It really was survival of the fittest. Jeffrey Hurlings parked his KTM down the inside of Max Nagel. That put the Bullet up into 10th place with about a handful of laps to go. And as it was about to be lapped, Romain Fevre ran into the back of the 3-time MX2 champion and lost the lead with 3 laps to go. De Saux passed him and was the new leader of the race. Fevre remounted in 2nd, and that race win went begging. Despite the messages of calm from his pit crew, Romain Fevre continued to battle on. He did bring his Yamaha home in 2nd ahead of the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna number 21, Gauthier Paulin. But in the closing stages of the race, Tony Cairoli threw his Red Bull KTM down. Bobryshev went through, and so too did Jeffrey Hurlings. And that would be enough to get Hurlings on the podium at the end of the Grand Prix. but a stunning display of riding from Clément Dessau in race 2 meant that for the second Grand Prix running, he stood on the top step of the podium. France 2 weeks ago, and now here in Russia. Herlings and Paulin joined him on the podium here in Russia. But Cairoli, he had a 50-point lead coming into this Russian Grand Prix. He left it 47 points clear, but Dessau is now second in the title race. Paulin is third, but a great Grand Prix for Clément Dessau.
Russia was a pivotal point of the championship with mixed weather conditions and challenging races in both categories. There's no change at the moment in MX2, but in MXGP, Dessau has advanced to second in the championship standings, and Herlings has got himself in the top 5. For the next round, we'll be seeing you in Ottobiano for the Fiat Professional Fullback MXGP of Lombardia.